Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8, and this is part 3 of the Codex Infernus. Today we'll talk about edges and hindrances. So how's everyone been today? Like I said, I have some good news that I don't have to work as much overtime this week. Some extra shifts got canceled, and I am grateful for it. I have some other stuff I'm wanting to try to do, and places I'm wanting to try to go. Beyond that, however, open beta for Guilty Gear Strive, and I've never played a Guilty Gear game before, so an open beta blind, so should be quite interesting. But yeah, we have edges and hindrances. New skills. The following skill is available for use in your game. Knowledge, demonology, smarts. Knowledge and demonology. I can't talk. Demonology is the study of demons. Characters with this skill may uncover a variety of aspects about a demon, such as its true name, any weaknesses, known followers. Oh, I actually got myself some water to drink too. Sightings and general status, if any, among the legions of hell. Success on a knowledge demonology roll grants a single piece of information about the demon in question, with each subsequent raise granting yet another piece of info, up to a max of 4 pieces of information. Edges and hindrances. The following edges and hindrances play on various hellish themes. They are designed to augment rules such as corruption, demon possession, and pacts with demons. New hindrances. Callous, minor. Some heroes struggle mightily against their inner demons, always striving to make right moral choices. But there are also those who simply don't care, or who even enjoy inflicting pain on others. This flawed character suffers a -2 penalty to corruption checks and can never seek redemption. Combat shock, minor and major. Some people freeze up when things get dangerous, and your hero is one of them. It could be due to fear, flashbacks, or something else. Whatever the reason, in the first round of any combat, you must make a fear check. If you have the major version, this roll is at -2. The Devil's Mark Major. This fallen hero has been permanently scarred or branded by a demon. As a sign of his service to the foul creature's cause, the character is considered supernaturally evil for the purposes of the champion and holy warrior edges, and suffers -4 charisma when dealing with anyone who knows that he's marked. Furthermore, he always has at least 1 marked corruption which can never be removed. If the character receives this hindrance as a result of demonic pacts, see the Book of Law. For information on demonic pacts, the demon always knows where she is. Background edges. Netherguard Acolyte Arcane Background. Spellcasting. Very few mortals know how to access Agron's stone gates. The Netherguard Acolyte is one such person, a wizard trained in the art of opening and closing portals to the netherworld. Like all wizards in Agron, the Netherguard Acolyte draws her power from the world around her. Because she is so attuned to Agron's gates, she can sense the location of a stone gate by making a notice roll. If successful, the Acolyte knows the general direction of the nearest stone gate. On a raise, she knows the precise location and distance. On a failure, she has no idea where the nearest gate is. Attunement. A Netherguard Acolyte can make a spell casting roll to attune herself to any stone gate she has found. Success on the roll means the character always knows where the attuned gate is, and she enjoys a +1 bonus to spell casting roll to open the gate. If she fails on the roll, she must wait 24 hours before attempting to attune herself to the gate again. If she rolls a 1 on the spellcasting roll, the character may never attune herself to the gate. Backlash. When a Netherguard rolls a 1 on her spellcasting die, she is automatically shaken. This can cause a wound. Additionally, if the Netherguard Acolyte rolls a 1 on her notice roll to find a gate or attune roll, she gains a level of fatigue and must wait 24 hours before attempting to find another stone gate. Professional edges. The following professional edge is provided for use in Codex Infernus, the Fall of Agron, but it can be modified for use in any genre you wish. For example, this professional edge would work very well in Stargate SG-1 type game, where characters are tasked with exploring other dimensions. Netherguard Sentinel. Netherguard sentinels are brave individuals who have traveled the mist-shrouded paths of the Netherworld and lived to tell the tale. They know the secrets of traveling and surviving in the Netherworld and have made good use of their knowledge to guide refugees to safe havens all across the broken world of Agron. Netherguard sentinels enjoy a +2 to tracking survival and notice rolls made in the Netherworld. Shadow touched edges, sometimes known as dark gifts. Shadow touched edges are the result of exposure to infernal powers and grant the character supernatural demonic abilities. Shadow touched. At some point in his past, the character will, willing or unwilling, came in contact with a demonic entity. The experience left him tainted in some fashion, either mentally or physically. The hero must choose an additional hindrance. This does not count toward his limit, nor provide additional points of character creation. That reflects this taint, such as ugly, scaly skin, pungent smell, or quirk, constantly talking to himself. The hero is also considered supernaturally evil for purposes of the champion and holy warrior edges. The upside of the encounter is that the character is accustomed to the darker side of human nature, and the things that man should not know. He gains a +2 to fear checks. The taint has also blessed, some might say cursed, the character in some fashion, allowing him to tap into dark energies, not normally accessible by mortals. The hero may take the dark gift's edges by spending additional advances anytime a shadow touched uses a dark gift that requires an activation roll. They use a spirit to activate it unless otherwise specified. After completing the activation roll, the shadow touch is required to make a vigor roll at -2 or gain a level of fatigue that is removed at an hour rest. Any shadow touch who fails this roll can opt to take a corruption point to prevent the fatigue cost instead. Dark gifts without activation rolls do not gain fatigue. The player must come up with a backstory involving this situation where the character had contact with a demon. Amon's Breath. The weapon of the Shadow Touched are many and they are varied. This Shadow Touched is able to breathe a gout of hellfire at enemies in her immediate surroundings, potentially setting her foes and everything around them ablaze. This ability functions as the burst power with the hellfire trapping, causing any flammable materials in the cone template to potentially catch fire. Roll for any flammable objects to catch fire, per the Savage World rules. Defiled Ground. The corrupting influence of a shadow touched cannot be understated, especially as it permeates their surroundings. Using this dark gift, the shadow touched makes a spirit roll to project a foul aura of defiling energy the size of a small burst template. This tainted aura lasts a number of rounds, equal to half the shadow touched vigor die, and remains centered on him at all times. While this gift is active, the shadow touched automatically inflicts 2d6 damage to all creatures within the aura until the end of its turn around, and anyone moving into the aura suffers the 2d6 damage. Infernal Grasp. When the shadow touch defiles the surrounding area, unearthly clawing hands reach from the ground to grasp at everyone in their vicinity. Whenever Defile Ground calls for a damage roll against someone, that creature must first make an agility roll at -2 if Defile Ground was activated with a raise, or become pinned as if affected by the Entangle power. Devil's Touch. This Shadow Touch is able to imbue his hands with demonic energy. When using this dark gift, the Shadow Touched hands turn dark and elongated as sinister purpose pervades them. Devil's Touch functions as a smite power with a necrotic tapping, and lasts a number of rounds equal to half the Shadow Touched vigor die, but may only be applied to his natural weapons, claw or fists, or any other natural weapons at GM's discretion. Hellbeast. While some Shadow Touched work alone, others prefer to pervert nature to their bidding. These Shadow Touched imbue dogs or wolves with hellish ferocity, transforming them into infernal hellbeasts. The animals grow and warp into twisted monstrosities with ferocious temperaments. Although they serve their Shadow Touched masters with devoted loyalty, should the Shadow Touch be killed, the power sustained hellbeast is broken and they immediately revert back to the original form. The Shadow Touched creature can Shadow Touch can create either 5 lesser hellbeasts or a single greater hellbeast. Chosen when the edge is taken. If the hellbeasts are all killed, the edge may be taken again to replace them. Lesser hellbeast. And we have some stats for this. If I can turn a page. Turn the page. Okay. Greater Hellbeast, some more stats. Hellspawn aspect. The Shadow Touch channels her inner demon, temporarily transforming into a monstrosity. When in demon form, the character's strength and agility each increase by +1 die type. Size increases by +1. The character receives a +1 bonus to intimidation rolls. The transformation lasts a number of rounds equal to half the vigor die. If the Shadow Touch takes a corruption mark, the bonuses to strength, agility, size, and intimidation are doubled. Alternatively, they may take a corruption mark to double the aspect's duration. Infernal Ally. Not all Shadow Touched choose to fight alone. Instead, in seeking infernal aid, the Shadow Touch can summon a creature from hell to temporarily aid her at times of need. This dark gift works as the summon ally power. I spilled my water on myself. Well, that made a weird noise. So, I should probably clean that. At least it's water, but at least it's just on me, not the computer or anything. I will finish reading this. Where was I? In return, the Shadow Touch compels one or more demons to serve her for a single day. The precise number, depending on their relative rank. These infernal minions can be sent back to hell at any time as a free action. But if the Shadow Touch ever becomes incapacitated, the demons can break free of the Shadow Touch control with a spirit roll. The Shadow Touch can sacrifice their blood to call for demonic aid, inflicting wounds upon themselves to lower the casting modifier. For each wound inflicted up to a maximum of 3, the casting penalty is reduced by 2. These wounds cannot be soaked. Infernal Healing. Some Shadow Touch can sustain themselves off the pain and suffering of their foes. A Shadow Touch with the Infernal Healing gift can heal a wound every time they incapacitate a wildcard opponent, or a level of fatigue for every extra they defeat in combat. Infernal Scent. The Shadow Touch reek of brimstone and death. The Shadow Touch is able to create a putrid odor that causes most mortals to gag and choke. The Shadow Touch rolls spirit opposed by the vigor of all adjacent targets. With its success, the victim suffers a level of fatigue, or 2 levels with a raise. The fatigue fades after 1d6 rounds of breathing fresh air. The effect can't kill, but it can incapacitate due to extreme nausea. Living Armor. The character's flesh is permanently transformed to hellish armor. She can mold and shape at will. The armor normally covers the entire body and is sealed for the purpose of area effect spells, but the character can cause it to flow back from the head and other limbs when not needed. Living Armor provides +2 armor, but doesn't stack worn armor or armor power. The Masque de Mort. One of the most unsettling dark gifts a Shadow Touch can acquire is the ability to wear the face of a deceased person as an illusory mask. The Shadow Touched essence reaches into the ether and draws forth the visage of a dead person, cloaking themselves in the form of the fallen. The Shadow Touched must already know that person is deceased, and anyone who has reason to suspect the deception makes a notice roll at -4. At the GM's discretion, a Doubting Thomas may gain a +2 bonus to his roll, reducing the penalty -2, though they won't suspect that it's supernatural in nature, but just a clever disguise. Maintaining this illusion requires concentration, and the Shadow Touch suffers a -2 on all their trait rolls while using this skill. If the Shadow Touch is shaken or takes a wound, they have to make a spirit roll at -2 to keep the illusion active. In the rare occasion the Shadow Touch attempts to take the appearance of someone they knew was dead, but is returned to life, the power works, but the illusion is obviously and clearly flawed. No roll required for the observer to see to tell that the illusion is flawed. But the Shadow Touch is unaware of this. Shadow Walk. Darkness is the ally of the Shadow Touched, an ally that some Shadow Touch can exploit to great advantage. It is difficult to fight an enemy that can disappear and reappear, striking from the shadows to take his opponent unaware. With a successful spirit roll, the Shadow Touch is able to travel between shadows as per the burrow power, for a number of rounds equal to half his vigor die. The character must enter and exit via a shadow that is large enough to envelop him. Talons of the Demon. Once a Shadow Touch gives themselves over to darkness, their body becomes a Malleable clay of and the Shadow Touch can twist and contort it to ensure they are never without a weapon. The Shadow Touch with this dark effect is able to grow and transform his fingernails into talons as hard as steel as a free action. When doing so, the character is considered armed and is able to deal strength plus d6 damage with his bare hands. And stuff about improved talents of the demon and then Veil of Shadows. Discretion is the better part of valor, and many Shadow Touch learn to conceal themselves from prying eyes of their foes. By succeeding at a spirit roll, the Shadow Touch can become completely invisible as per the invisibility power for a number of rounds equal to half their vigor die. I can turn this. New power. The following power is designed to augment the special elements of the codex infernus. The Fall of Agron, but it can be easily used in any setting and genre you wish, especially in the urban fantasy games in the vein of the Dresden Files, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the Supernatural television series. And we have stuff about Open Portal, and the trappings. Open Portal creates an oval, vertical-oriented gateway to another dimension. The maximum size can vary depending on the needs of the character, but it can be no longer than a medium tempo burst. Stuff about how long it stays open. New trappings. The following are new trappings for the powers that reflect nature of hell and those who stand against its legions. Holy is a trapping that can be used to ward off or destroy unholy beings of undead or infernal origin. Holy is often linked to light, and so those effects can apply as well. Purification. Creatures with the demon or undead monstrosity ability or other creatures at the GM's discretion take an additional d6 of damage when attacked with this power. Ward. Creatures with the demon or undead monstrous ability or other creatures of the GM's discretion must make fear checks when exposed to the power of this trapping. Infernal. Represents the power of hell being harnessed to destroy that is good and light. It is closely related to fire, heat, and those effects apply as well. Soulfire. The flames of hell sear the opponent's soul. Spirit is used to soak this damage rather than vigor. Necrotic is a trapping closely tied to necromantic and symbolizes the very essence of death tearing away at life. At the GM's discretion, effects from necromantic trapping may apply to powers with the necrotic trapping, as well as the effect below. Festering unlife. Any creatures killed by a power with this trapping raises from the dead in 24 hours as a zombie. Where do portals go? In other settings, portals will go to what other dimension or reality the character wants. The exact location is relative to where the caster is. That said, game masters might allow casters to specify a specific location, the Ivory Tower at the edge of the Nightmare Realm, at a -2 penalty to the spellcasting roll. If you're using the open portal power in the Codex Infernus, the Fall of Agron setting, the spell is generally cast at a stone gate and opens a gate to the netherworld precisely where the caster is standing within a few feet. If a caster tries to open a portal away from the gate, she suffers a -6 penalty to do so. Opening a gate directly to hell is permissible, but unless the caster knows a specific location, like the Iron City of Dis, the portal will open on the shores of the River Styx. And that is the end of Edges and Hindrances. So, after that, if you're wondering about the symbols drawn on my mask, they are actually the 5 scrolls from the Brave Fencer Musashi series. It's a very good video game for the PlayStation 1, and I strongly recommend it. So, I hope everyone had a good day. Bye.